You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. Uh, Follow me on all the social media platforms, Spill and Threads and Instagram and Substack, all of them at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and I pop right on up. And if you haven't already, download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. We are delighted to be with you in afternoon drive time from coast to coast. I want to wish everybody a happy Earth Day. Of course, April 22nd marks Earth Day, and it's no time like the present for us to do right by the environment. I would remind people that my very first job ever, like ever, was being in charge of the recycling in our home. Yeah, growing up. I think I was probably 7 years old when I took the lead in managing the recycling in our home. It was really cool because basically, whenever I had collected and sorted all the cans and bottles and things, and there's a lot of cans and bottles and things when you're the youngest of five boys. My dad would take me to the local recycling center, and I would recycle them, and I would get to keep the money. That was my first job. That was my first go, I suppose, at being a social entrepreneur, doing right by the environment and making a little bit of change, pun intended. And so, when we talk about doing right by the environment, it doesn't have to be something so grand, right? Sometimes, there is quite a bit of impact in the simplicity of things. And so, every show we say, do what you can from where you are with what you have. Well, we can all recycle, right? We can recycle, we can compost, we can donate, we can fundraise. We can do right by the environment in lots of different ways. And so this is a good day to consider, or dare I say, recommit to doing right by Mother Earth. Now it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Nothing ugly about saying thank you. CBS News reporting that Pope Francis, in some of his last words, he thanked his nurse for the chance to greet an Easter crowd. That's what the Vatican is saying. Pope Francis thanked his personal nurse for encouraging him to greet the crowds in the St. Peter's Square on Easter Sunday, which was said to be amongst his last words. The pontiff, who died at the age of 88 on Easter Monday from a stroke and heart failure, less than a month after returning home from 5 weeks in the hospital battling double pneumonia, he spent about 15 minutes waving at the crowd and blessing babies from the Pope Mobile, flanked by numerous bodyguards. He appeared exhausted during the Easter celebration, but nevertheless greeted the crowd and drove around St. Peter's Square, cheered by thousands of worshipers. While he used an aide to deliver longer remarks, Pope Francis said that he said to the crowd in his own weakened voice, "Brothers and sisters, happy Easter." How about that? Also, in the spirit of thanks, we are certainly thankful that Tina Knowles, the mother of Beyonce and Solange Knowles, we are grateful that she's doing well. Because a lot of us had known this, but Tina Knowles, she revealed that she was diagnosed with breast cancer and was in disbelief. The Griot reporting that Tina Knowles surprised the Beehive in a recent interview when she revealed that she was previously diagnosed with breast cancer. And a clip of the interview that was scheduled to air on April 23rd, Knowles opened up to Gayle King about the moment the doctors discovered not one, but two tumors in her breast, one that was benign and the other that was cancerous. According to the American Cancer Society, women over the age of 55 should receive mammograms every 1 to 2 years. However, Knowles explained that she missed her routine screening in 2020 due to the pandemic and didn't reschedule it until last year. And so, for all of our leaders, learners, and listeners out there who may not have connected the dots between, routine appointments that you might have missed during the pandemic, or you might have missed just, living life. This is a great reminder to, stay on top of those things because prevention is our friend. Prevention is our friend, I think, especially for people who have family members who have passed away from certain ailments, certain diseases. The last thing you want to hear is any diagnosis remotely similar to what took them out. And so, because of that, there are a number of people out there that don't go to the doctor regularly. And so, I hope everyone who is hearing about and learning more about Tina Knowles' story is inspired to stay on top of your health, because health is wealth. It really is. I remember, I think it was the year before last, when I was having some vocal challenges. And it turns out, after visiting 5 doctors, that I had a polyp on my vocal cord, really a series of polyps on my vocal cord that needed to be removed. And so, if you go back and listen to the show from, year and a half, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, you'll notice I sounded raspy a lot of the time. I mean, at times you might have wondered, is that Nii-Quartelai Quartey? I don't know, but I sounded a little raspy. And then I sounded a lot raspy. And it wasn't about getting rest. It wasn't about drinking tea. It wasn't about all of that. It was a polyp, really a cluster of polyps on my vocal cord. And since I have had the surgery and followed, all of the guidance, I'm back to 100%, right? But, you know, something as simple as your voice, or for folks who are dealing with carpal tunnel, something as simple as moving your hands, right? You don't know what you have until you don't, when it comes to your health. And so stay on top of your health. In other news, particularly entertainment news, did y'all hear that the Oscars is doing it differently? Entertainment Weekly reporting that the Oscars will now require members to see all nominated films before voting to determine the Academy Award winners. The Academy is tightening its procedures around Oscars voting with a new set of rules that was approved on Monday by the Board of Governors, and a significant change to its pre-voting standards. The Academy will now require members to watch all nominated films in each category to be eligible to vote in the final round for the Oscars. The tightening of its rules, the Academy previously did not require voters in all branches to have seen all films ahead of voting. That's wild to me, though some viewing standards apply to specific categories such as documentary and short brackets. Now, listen, there are a lot of people who've said, oh, the Oscars is nothing but a popularity contest. Well, I see why they would say that. Call me crazy. I thought that folks were already required to have to watch every film before they voted. And especially since a lot of the screeners are sent electronically. And so if you can track who's opened the screener, you can track whether or not somebody has forwarded the screener or shared the screener with somebody who has no business looking at the screener. If you can do all that, then why haven't they been tracking the fact that people have been voting and not looking at all of the films for that category? And so, look, I'm glad that the Academy has come to its senses. And, who knows what difference this is going to make in terms of winners But this definitely seems like a reform that will make the Academy Awards even more competitive, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean, think about how many folks were counted out when it came to votes for Academy Awards because folks just simply didn't see the film. That's wild. That's wild to me. Well, when we come forward, I'm really looking forward to switching gears and talking with this really incredible young person. I mean, this story is something made for the silver screen. It's called Swinging Beyond the Spectrum: How Autism Became My Superpower on and Off the Golf Course. We're going to be talking with Carter Bonus about his story as a young autistic individual that's navigating the complexities of growing up with autism while passionately pursuing his love for golf. You're going to want to hear this story. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Come closer.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and I have really been looking forward to this conversation all day long. It is not just any old conversation, it's personal. If you, like me, have any members of your family that you love, that are also on the spectrum, this story is going to warm your heart. I want to encourage people to go out there and get this book, Swinging Beyond the Spectrum. It chronicles the life of Carter Bonus, a young autistic individual as he navigates the complexities of growing up with autism while passionately pursuing his love of golf. Welcome to the show, Carter.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we're also joined with Dr. Thelma.
Yes, good night.
It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And so, first up, Carter, tell us how you developed your love for golf. When did golf become your jam?
So, how I got into golf was when I was little. I I didn't really like any sports, and I wanted to play a sport, but I had a hard time finding one that I actually like. And I tried almost every single sport. I tried football, soccer, flag football, hockey, but most of them were just too loud or contact sports or running around too much, and I just didn't like that. So one of my mom's friends said that we actually lived on a golf course and that I should try golf sometime. And I went onto the golf course and I swung a golf club for the first time, and it was perfect, and I just loved it from there.
Now, one of the things that you just mentioned is that when you're trying to figure out which sport was right for you, there were some sports that just didn't feel right, and you mentioned that some of them sort of felt a little too loud. Talk to us about living on the spectrum. For people who are less familiar uh, with how these different sports um, how they affect your senses, how they make you more or less comfortable. Talk to us about what it's like being an athlete on the spectrum.
So I want to say being an athlete on the spectrum is difficult. There's pros and cons about it, and one of the things is that I have a heightened sense of touch and smell, and I have sensitive skin, and that means I'm more prone to pain than other people. So, playing contact sports like hockey and especially football, that would be more painful to me than other kids. And one of the things that I struggle with the most while playing sports is sensory overload. And a sensory overload is kind of like The best way to describe it is being inside for a couple of days with no lights on, then going outside and looking directly into the sun.
Mm,
It's
thank you.
really overloading for the eyes, and for me, I try looking away, but sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't go away. So I have to calm myself and focus on making the sensory overload goes away, and it goes away eventually. And I feel like as I'm get better at of controlling myself, that the sensory overloads happen less and less.
Wow, thank you for describing that. That was a really uh, super smart description of what it is that you experience. I don't think I've ever interviewed anybody who has described living on the spectrum as eloquently and as simply as you just did. And so I can see that you're not just a pro golfer in the making. You might even be a pro broadcaster in the making, Carter. Uh,
Thank you.
I want to bring Dr. Thelma Tinney into the conversation. Dr. Thelma, you know, obviously, for a lot of our leaders, learners, and listeners that are tapping in, Carter appears to be very advanced. He is on the spectrum. I want to remind people that there is a range, right? Um, but it's so important that folks get their kids tested early so that their kids can get the kind of tools and supports that they need, so that they tools and supports that they can master, in order to uh, have the best shot possible at being able to live independently and being able to do a lot of the same things that any kid and any adult would want to do. Talk to us a little bit about that journey of empowering Carter with the tools that have helped him to show up the way he is today.
Yes, thank you for that. So, early intervention has definitely been the key to Carter's success. He was diagnosed around one, so therapies were put in place very early for him. So, there was speech, OT, occupational, you name it, 3 and 4 days a week, the same therapies. And Carter wasn't verbal until 4. So I encourage all parents to be proactive, do what you have to do the hard work. I know how hard it is in the beginning, and you truly never know, but you just have to try. And as long as you are giving them the things that they need, um, and making a lot of changes. Like it's so important the food they have access to, the sensory items they have access to, their network, their systems. So it's very important to get tested and then follow the doctor's regimen.
Wow. No, I mean, I think that's good advice. And I'm sure there's a lot of folks that have to deal with the mental challenge of getting over some of the stigmas that are out there. I actually think that conversations around folks living on the spectrum have become so much more mainstream than they were decades ago. I remember when folks, including family members, were diagnosed decades ago. I think folks have very outdated, very limited views of what it meant to live with autism. And I think, we're seeing folks like Carter demonstrate that uh, you can live a great life and you can be a great athlete and you could be an extraordinary inspiration and still live on the spectrum. And there's no shame in that whatsoever. When we come forward, I want to talk to you a little bit about stigma because we know that it still exists. And I want to dig into this story about Carter's golf game when we come forward. You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, more with Dr. Thelma and Carter. Carter, the author of Swinging Beyond the Spectrum. If you haven't already, you may want to go out and order that. Who knows? This may be a story that makes its way to the silver screen sometime soon. Who knows? More when we come forward.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you tuned into the right place. A more perfect union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass plans to cut 1,600 city jobs, but will add nearly 300 positions to the fire department. In her State of the City address, she said Los Angeles Police Department won't face cuts, and half of the new fire roles will be for firefighters. The Department of Education will restart collections on defaulted student loans starting May 5th. Borrowers, many of them Black, could face wage garnishment or debt collectors. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is forming a team to tackle the city's budget gap with billion-dollar deficits ahead. The situation could worsen if the Trump administration cuts $3 billion in federal aid. In Hazel Crest, Illinois, just swore in its first Black female mayor, Sandra Alexander. Elected April 1st, she began her career as a 911 dispatcher in 1994 and later became the village's first certified municipal clerk and a trustee in 2023. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Highland Park crash on the 110 northbound coming up on Avenue 52. Only the left lane is open. That drive is just an absolute mess getting away from Slauson out of South LA. Let's also head out to Laguna Niguel. This is the 73 northbound just past the split from the 5. An overturned truck. Only the left lane is open and that drive is slammed away from the 5 freeway. We're also heading out to Corona with a crash on the 15 southbound before Magnolia Avenue. They've cleared everything to the shoulder, but the drive is just such a mess coming off of the 91 freeway.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Simone Biles, considered the GOAT in women's gymnastics, said she is not sure if she'll compete for the U.S. in the Summer Olympics here in L.A. in 2028. The 28-year-old Biles said her body has been talking to her. When the Olympics arrive, Biles will be 31. Biles also said she wants to continue spending more time with her husband, Jonathan Owens, a defensive back with the Chicago Bears, and attend more of his games. Biles has won 11 Olympic medals in her career, including 7 gold. She won 3 gold and a silver at the Paris Olympics last summer. TV ratings for the first weekend of the NBA playoffs are the highest in 25 years. The NBA had a 17% increase from the first weekend last season with 8 games on ESPN, ABC, and TNT. An average of 4.4 million viewers tuned in to the 8 games. 6.7 million people watched Sunday's Game 1 between Boston and Orlando on ABC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades, aids and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at quinemanual.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to be in conversation with author Carter Bonus. He is the author of Swinging Beyond the Spectrum. It chronicles his life as a young autistic young man as he navigates the complexities of growing up with autism while passionately pursuing his love of golf. I'm also joined by his mom, might I say his proud mom, Dr. Thelma Tenney, who really gives a lot of parents a whole lot of hope that their kids are going to be all right. Isn't that really what it comes down to, Dr. Thelma? You know, was that probably one of your worst fears when you first learned of his diagnosis as being autistic? Did you worry about whether or not he was just going to be all right independently of you?
Definitely. I believe that's already a fear as a parent, right? What is going to be the future for our child? But when we hear a diagnosis like that, then the anxiety can become a lot more fear of their future. So again, I just encourage parents to, we were in therapy 6 days a week, right? Every day except for Sunday. So just do the therapies. I didn't treat Carter any different. I accepted the diagnosis as hard as it was and just said, okay, so now what do we do? What do we do now? We do the therapies. He learns different and we had to learn him. And as you mentioned, support was a big thing for us, especially the mental health support. And there was not a lot of that. And that started my nonprofit to be able to be that support for parents, to help parents get that diagnosis. Because sometimes when you go into the schools or you see something, maybe your pediatrician will be dismissive. The school system can give diagnosis. However, a lot of times I hear people waiting years for that appointment to get the diagnosis. So at our nonprofit, we definitely provide the mental health services to not only get that diagnosis, take that diagnosis to your pediatrician, then the pediatrician sends you that referral for the neurologist to rule out any other neurological disorder, and then that diagnosis sticks. So our goal is to help families who are having problems getting access to diagnosis and treatment.
And speaking of problems, you know, this story really began with an early struggles or a series of early struggles in school. And I want to specifically talk about dealing with bullying. And on top of learning how to cope with sensory overload and just some of the social challenges that can come along with being autistic, Carter talk to us about your experience being bullied in school. Um, how how were you able to overcome that?
So I would just I I would just need to say that overcoming bullying in my school was very, very difficult. No, it at first when I went to school for the first time, it was so bad that we had to move schools a couple of times until we found a school where the bullying was still there, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the schools before.
Hmm.
And dealing with it was still hard. I was still sad, and I was bullied every day, if not every other day. And I learned how to push through it by thinking about positive stuff and not letting what they say get to me.
Hmm.
And sometimes, instead of verbal bullying, it would be physical bullying.
Hmm.
And I'm thankful to say that most of the time it would not escalate to something too serious. And I believe it only gotten serious maybe once or twice.
Hmm. Well, I'm really sorry that you had that experience. I remember having to deal with a few bullies when I was in elementary school, and it's nothing nice. It doesn't make you feel good about going to school or learning. Um, but
Right.
I'm but I'm so proud of the way that you have been able to meet the challenge, right? And I'm so proud that here you are uh, on the airwaves sharing your story. So
Thank you. And Dr. Quarterly, I at the beginning I heard you mention that one of your family members is on the spectrum, right?
that's right. That's right. I have a cousin that I love and adore that is on the spectrum, and I've learned so much from him over the years.
Oh, really? Well,
Mhm.
I would like to offer giving your cousin one of the copies of my book.
Oh, I think he'll love that. He'll love that. Thank you, Carter. That is super duper special. You come bearing so many gifts, and in addition to being a gifted uh, student and a gifted athlete as a golfer, you're also a pretty gifted and business savvy entrepreneur. A birdie told me that you launched Spectrum Golf, which is a golf apparel line designed for comfort and inclusivity, particularly catering to those with sensory sensitivities. Is that true?
Yes.
Wow. And so what inspired you at this young age to become an entrepreneur and to get in the apparel business, specifically for folks dealing with sensory issues?
Well, what helped me start my business and what inspired me to make my own business was my mom, because she has her own company where she gives therapy and provides free therapy to people. So I think that was one of the main inspiring things for me starting my business. But the reason why I chose golf apparel was because while I was in school and playing golf, I had to wear clothes that were uncomfortable for me, so I kind of stand out in that way because for all the other kids and other people, the clothes were comfortable for them, but they weren't comfortable for me. And me and my mom were spending lots of money trying to look for that one comfortable shirt that we would find at the store.
Mhm.
So I wanted to start my own golf apparel clothing line so I could give other people comfortable clothes that have a skin sensitivity just like me, and so I can have comfortable clothes.
Wow, I think that's incredible. Mom, what was it like when Carter came to you and said, "Hey mom, I've seen how you've run your businesses and I have an idea for a business of my own, an apparel line." Uh what did you say when he came to you with that opportunity?
Well, he came to me at first with many other options that he changed. So he wanted a business. And with the apparel line, I just told him do the research, find out how much it's going to cost, what are you going to sell. He started doing research on materials, right? What is the material that he likes the most? He found out it was dry fit. Then we had to figure out, right, well, what actually is dry fit? Because, right, it's dry fit, but what is that material? So it turned out to be a very good science experiment for him. And just learning what it was and sourcing fabrics, even traveling to factories to see how things are made with the least amount of dyes, the less harmful dyes. It really was a great science experiment at the time.
Wow. 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 I think that's incredible. And I think for so many folks that are listening to us right now, we know the summer is right around the corner. And you know, what an inspiration, for folks who may have a curiosity about this or that, or maybe there's some issue that's nagging at them. To all the parents out there, your kid may have a pretty solid business proposal, business idea there that with a little bit of research over the summertime, who knows what may become of that. Carter, in our remaining minutes with you, I want to give you an opportunity to share with folks, your vision for the future, uh, with folks living on the spectrum, sort of at the very center of that. We don't oftentimes have a chance to be in conversation with folks who are living on the spectrum, who are writing books about their experiences and, creating businesses to support people that are on the spectrum. And so, what sort of vision do you hold for your future and other folks you're in community with?
So the vision for my future is just to keep running my business and have it be as successful as I can, putting my products into more retail stores and more pro shops at golf courses. And also me and my mom have recently got a farm. So I think over the summer and in the future we are going to be working on that. And one of my just main goals overall for the future is to help as many people as I can through my business, spreading awareness, and my nonprofit helping people. And my nonprofit is Carter Spectrum Golf, where I give free golf lessons to youth and veterans, where I supply the membership for the golf course, the green fees, buying the golf bags, the clothes, golf clubs, anything you would need to play golf, I would supply it for free, no cost.
I think that's incredible. That's incredible. And how old are you, Carter?
I am 14, but I started my business when I was 10 and my nonprofit when I was 13.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Just I mean, as I'm listening to you speak, I'm thinking about what I was doing when I was around your age, and a lot of people don't know this, but when I was 13 years old, I was very active as a student leader on campus. I was on student council and just very active. And there's a lady that was watching what I was doing and wanted to meet me. You might know her name, Oprah Winfrey, uh, and she invited me to be on the Oprah Show when I was 13 years old, doing service work in the community, work that made a difference, work that impacted everyday people. And so, as I listen to your story, you're reminding me of the 13-year-old me, that was just as committed to making the world a better place. And so I'm so glad that you stopped by to share a little bit of your story.
Thank you.
Dr. Thelma, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to offer up, your hope, your prayer for other parents out there with kids that are on the spectrum, that in this hour may not know what to do, may not know where to turn. They may be overwhelmed with lots of emotions around it. What's your hope and prayer for them?
Reach out. Reach out. You can reach out to my nonprofit. We are in Florida, but we will definitely help with resources. And there's a great autism foundation called Bianca that's in California, but I think it's in San Diego. It's kind of like when people come to Florida and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna come visit you in Orlando," and they're like, "No, that's nowhere near where we are." So I might have just did that, but seek out support. My cell phone number's on all of Carter's information. I get done tons of texts every day, and we respond, or my team will respond and give referrals, resources, support, help. So don't think that you are alone. Reach out for support. Find your team, your network. Carter talks about that a lot in his book. We didn't do this alone, not at all. So we have a great support team and people who support us. So definitely find that, and you can make it through. You can make it through.
You can make it through. You can make it through indeed. Well, I hope you all will come back again soon. I'm so full and so inspired by this conversation, and I hope so many folks that are tuning in feel the same. Again, his book is called Swinging Beyond the Spectrum by Carter Bonus. And we are also so proud of you, Mom, Dr. Thelma Tenney, for all the work that you have done and continue to do as a parent advocate. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, I got the quiet part out loud for you.
More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I feel so alone. I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it.
It's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
This is Stevie Wonder, calling on Los Angeles property owners to help get unhoused veterans off the street. If you're a property owner or know someone who is, consider accepting veteran housing vouchers. You will receive guaranteed rent while providing a stable and safe home. Help end veteran homelessness and make a real difference in people's lives.
Learn more by emailing houseourvets@lacity.org.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. You really about to do it? Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580. and we've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's about that time for the quiet part out loud. If your group chats are anything like mine, there are a number of friends that I've been in conversation with that were very concerned about a story that was out, I think, a few weeks ago about Howard University and Black male enrollment at Howard University. I think there was something mentioned about Howard in a New York Times article. Well, Afrotech is reporting that Howard University is tackling the decline in Black male enrollment with the Kings of Campus initiative. That's right, Howard University is on a mission to reverse the decline of Black male enrollment at historically Black colleges and universities. They recently hosted their third annual Kings of Campus Day, welcoming 150 young Black boys from the District of Columbia Public Schools and Prince George County Public Schools for panel discussions, emphasizing the importance of Black men attending college. We know that Dr. Calvin Hadley, who is the assistant provost for student enrollment and academic partnership at Howard, so that he created the event to show young males why they deserve a place at the HBCU and college in general, while urgently conveying to them how valued and needed they are. In August 2024, there was a report from the American Institute for Boys and Men that found that Black males make up 26% of students at HBCUs. Back in 1976, according to the same report, the demographics made up 38% of students enrolled. And the decline is attributed to insufficient K through 12 preparation, a shortage of Black male teachers, and financial obstacles. And so that study also indicated that a general enrollment decline of 11% since 2010. And so there are lots of headwinds that are blowing, but there's so much more that we can do. This story is about more than just Howard University hosting a panel and inviting young people in the surrounding area to attend and reminding them that they are worthy of attending an HBCU and going to college. But it's on all of us to do even more to get these young Black men prepared through K through 12 education. It's on all of us to do what we can do as Black male educators to show up in classrooms and to be engaged and to mentor and sponsor these young Black males. It's on all of us to find ways, creative ways to break down these financial obstacles by way of scholarships and grants and all sorts of things. And so as we end the show every day, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce this show, our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Faraji, Kim, and Art, and of course, each and every one of you. Take good care. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Black Baltimore, Maryland Mayor Brandon Scott's State of the City address highlighted a drop in homicides, investments in youth, local business support, and vacant property rehab. He also announced a new